Kai. It's B-A-T-E-D, right?
Right. It's not like
Can you just like... Okay, never mind.
So trouble for Yemen as Captain Twig goes in aggressive. Now it's trouble for Twig. It's actually a 2v1. He's got to retreat. Instead, they're just not going to go grab their own speed buff. Meanwhile, Prime going to take the speed buff by himself and actually pick it right on up.
I'm just confused onto what Twig thought would happen in that spot. If you only see Yemen, it's not like Adapting is letting his speed buff go.
No.
Adapting's coming. You know it's happening. But Twig, I guess, decides that his farm is not that important in the early game here. Look, if you're trying to invade by yourself and you see the Giannis, I guess at that point it was too late for Twig to turn around and go back to his speed buff, but maybe doing XP, something, I don't know. It just feels weird for him to accept that he's getting no farm in that spot and just be okay with that.
Does at least put some damage in on Yama, but it certainly doesn't pressure him enough where he feels like he has to use any relics or anything like that to respond. So all in all, Yama's going to be fine, and Pretty Prime was able to get a little bit of farm on his own, so perhaps he'll be a bit ahead of Yama because of that. We'll get to follow along and see if that does have any impact, but I mean, you gotta think that Captain Twig would rather just have speed buff right now.
Yes, you would assume so. But either way, doesn't end up working out for him, and Pretty Prime gets a little bit ahead because of it. Prime going for the Boots and Lost Artifacts start, so he's really zooming compared to most other characters on the map at any given time. I'm still not a huge fan of this build. I think that if you do go for it, you really have to make use of that Boots power spike very, very early on, and Obey Alliance's draft can do that with the Erlong Shen, so I look forward to seeing if that's what they go for, because otherwise you're just giving up a lot of MP5 and putting yourself in kind of a weird spot overall.
We have been seeing some build variety, especially with these mid-mages, about how they want to go for the early games. Adapting is going to be able to blink towards Zelia, using that monkey toss and get some good damage in, force him back, but it's not always that you have to go right for that mage's blessing, is what we've seen so far. Now, Emilito, a little bit of trouble. Rapper doesn't quite have kill potential there, so they'll fall back, but this time going to go right for Pin Boots right out of the gate. That's going to be Prime's build path here.
Yep, this is what you do. If you're going for this sort of build, you back as soon as possible, buy your Pen Boots, and then immediately build either a Rod of Tahuti or a Chronos Pendant. Historically, it has been Rod of Tahuti, and so this is where it works, right? Prime immediately backs, use that extra mobility, the extra damage that he'll do, and make sure that speed goes Obey Alliance's way. And I like that NRG understands that's the plan, but that just because NRG knows that and is going to play around it, doesn't mean that shouldn't still be the game plan. And that's where you have to go with that sort of build.
Yeah, they were able to come in and grab red buff too, where Obey Alliance to pull that one away. So that is some value that comes out of it. It's Prime mostly that got that one done. So if they can stay on top of those buff timers and try and get some invades going on here, as now Ataraxia and Raffer are looking for the purple buff as well. They've kind of pushed Emilzi and Emilito back here in the dual lane. This is already a much better start. Now they're the ones with the pressure on the map and invading these buffs.
Prime has got a lot of farm right now. He hits 5 significantly before Yemen. But at the same time, take a look at his mana bar. Very, very low in that mid lane. So even with the mana potion ticking, which he did buy in order to give himself at least some sort of mana sustain, you don't get to stay on the map for long with this build. You have to make sure that every time that you are out of base that you're making a lot of stuff happen. And Prime did it on this back, or this time out on the map, but can he do it the next time? You have to basically be backing in rhythm with red buffs coming up. Get theirs, get yours, get mids, push a couple waves, back to base, be ready for the next enemy red buff spawn. If you're not doing that, I don't think this build works at all.
And that's when I start turning my eyes here towards Adapting, who's not quite level 5 yet, but he certainly has the ability to come in and disrupt that exact flow you're talking about, because it does have to be rather precise from Pretty Prime to make sure that he's still min-maxing. There's certainly opportunity for Adapting to come into the jungle and disrupt that if Yemen is there with him. Even Emilzi, if he can get Defender of Olympus online. They have a brief moment, though, where they're still both 4, and they might be able to make it happen.
Yeah, 5 just got hit by Adapting, though, and Raffer is still waiting for his level 5, and Adapting's heading on over right away. He got spotted by a ward on the left side, but red buff is about to spawn, and Raffer and Ataraxia no longer get a chance to go to rotate to that. So no consecutive red buffs invades for Obey Alliance this time around.
Instead, Prime going to head right back towards middle lane. Looks like Yemen is back working on speed buff. Doesn't quite have Adapting with him there just yet. I'm certain he's going to give it over to him, but looks like he's going to start at least a little bit before Adapting actually gets it.
Efficiency with your farm. Got to get it where you can while you're there, and Yemen will tag it up and make sure that Adapting doesn't have to spend as much time on the buff itself and can make it work. Twig on this right-hand side doesn't have this one. Interesting. So decides not to level the first ability, which is really where Erlong Shen's primary damage comes from in those 1v1 fights. I mean, Mink does a lot, but spot weakness is like the reason why Erlong does way more damage to you than you think that he will. He gets 85 physical damage when this gets maxed out, plus scaling on his auto attack. So interesting that Twig rather decides not to go for it at all, instead prioritize the damage from Pin, which can be relevant, especially in the early game, but I don't know. I'm actually not familiar with how Sino usually levels his Erlong jungle. I'm interested to see the differences there, because Sino is like the Erlong jungle guy right now.
Well, Raffer goes in with the Stygian Torment, can't find it. Instead, takes half his health bar in return. Adapting's lurking in the jungle. In fact, Captain Twig has spied him out and forced the Fear No Evil to be used defensively rather than the big team fight like they want.
Oh.
Not going to be able to find it. In fact, Through Space and Time comes out from Yemen as well. NRG don't get to use these big team fighting ultimates the way they would have liked.
No, both sides waste an ult, but NRG wastes one more ult than Obey Alliance does. I love that Twig just holds on to his Purification Beads in that spot. And this is where Erlong feels unboxable in the early game. And it's usually because of the one, but just getting the extra, the Fatalis effect, the haste effect from your 72 transformations, going into Mink form or getting that shield from the turtle form ends up being really, really helpful to Erlong in those 1v1 fights. And there it was enough to force Adapting into the ultimate because of the pressure he was exerting.
Yeah, he really is going to be reliant on that 72 transformation. Some of that extra shield health he's getting, some of that extra damage to look for these boxing matches. And Captain Twig, I mean, he's got here with this Warrior Jungle Star, got to get off to a good start. Eventually, Adapting with that Fear No Evil is just going to be the better team fighting ability. It's so good. And they have him, and they have Emilita to follow up with the Sun, to follow up with the Unstable Vortex damage. So the damage is certainly there. I want to see Captain Twig capitalize on this early. In fact, Adapting actually a little bit XP ahead, able to take over level 7 already.
But Erlong is no slouch of a team fighter in his own right. I mean, you're not wrong. Fear No Evil is one of the best team fight ultimates in the entire game and can certainly change the tune of any fight. But Erlong can get fights started very, very easily for Obey Alliance. He can end fights himself with big CC chains, setting up for guys like PRETTYPRIME and Xaylia. So I don't think that it's just, if he doesn't get off to a good start, it's over. It wouldn't hurt him, though.
Well, certainly not, but it's part of why you pick the Warrior over, you know, just any other assassin, is that it does kind of let you get off to a better start, generally speaking. And so far, it's been relatively even, but Erlong Shen, as you said, has no problem getting to the backline, sticking to the likes of Emilito, sticking to the likes of Yemen, if they can stop him going through a portal. As Emilito wants the 1v1 fight, can't quite find on Atarax here. Raffer commits the ultimate, gets taunted back in. Yamcha with the damage, but Captain Twig comes over with the 9 turns blessing, can't follow up, but it's Adapting. Fear No Evil gets Raffer up against the wall, and they find the kill.
Oh, but Prime just laid on that ultimate. If he commits Lightning Storm right away, as soon as Adapting passes him by to focus down Raffer, I think he could have found enough damage there. Just 2 ticks of the ultimate likely would have netted Prime a double kill in that spot, but just a little bit too hesitant to commit the ult, and as a result, both Adapting and Emilzy were able to escape.
I believe he had the detonate charge afterwards anyway, right? He certainly would have had that follow-up damage there to get it done, so I agree that would have been certainly a good play there from him, but instead, PRETTYPRIME not able to find it. And Obey Alliance, that time again, where Captain Twig has a relatively good setup when he initially goes in on that fight, but they're not all quite there at the same time, ready to follow up, and it's NRG who come away with first blood, Adapting, able to punish Raffer in the jungle.
And you were seeing the strength of what Erlong brings in the jungle. He cleared Adapting's XP camp in the blink of an eye, and the Mink form at this point in the game will clear the side minions and leave the main Harpy, and I think 1 or 2 autos. I think it's only 1 at this point. So Twig is utilizing that nicely. The movement speed that you get from this ability and the damage that it provides is just crazy. 310 at base, plus 85% whenever it's max. Right now it's only 250 plus 85%. Oh no.
Only 250, yeah. You won't even feel that, really, then, right?
No.
You can shrug that one off. As Captain Twig is going to be meeting up with Adapting here in the jungle. Adapting wants no part of this, though. We see him almost immediately turn around and get on out of there. Doesn't quite have Fear No Evil yet, but it should be up momentarily. He's elected to go right into that Hydra's, which almost says the same words his passive does, doesn't it? They just synergize so well.
Once you use the ability, your next auto attack will either do more damage from Hydra's Lament or crit from Hunbat's passive. Now you have the chance of both happening. Well, you're definitely getting the extra damage, but you get extra damage on the crit that you might get from your Hunbat's passive. Can be really, really strong. Also strong PRETTYPRIME now. He's finished off his route up to Hootie, so this item build is incredibly expensive through 2 items. I mean, it's boots, which are cheap, but Rod is really, really expensive still, even after the price decrease coming into Season 5. But Man Prime is going to hit really hard. That's the key, is that he's going to bring a big punch to these team fights.
And he's one of those mages where the passive, where you do extra damage when they're below the health threshold, where it really just kind of makes sense, right? The detonate charge is almost always used to kind of finish off that last target, and that's just going to bolster that even more. This is curious, of course. We don't often see Rod Jehudi here in that second slot, but it's so much power up front, and he's going to be rocking that red buff. He's certainly going to be swinging here in this mid-game. I mean, we see Soul Reaver's rush too. It's
11
not
minutos
too
de
far
partida y
from
solo
that
una
same
muerte que
balance.
And
fue
honestly,
hecha
it's not that far from Chronos
adapte
Pendant either. Chronos Pendant's really expensive in its own right. And we
Cerbero.
still see that all the time. Emilito still has it on the Houyi. Surprise, surprise. No surprise here whatsoever. But you end up having these opportunities to make big plays with the Rod, and you really have to take them when you can get them, because now Prime has just spent more gold on his build, and it's going to be harder for the enemy team to, or it's going to be harder for him to keep up in his overall item build. I really like Emilito being like, oh yeah, this triple ricochet, I hit that.
Yes, I love that. That was him going, I'm going to nail it no matter what, and committing the ultimate to it. So it doesn't work out for him, but when it does work out, it's going to look sick.
Oh yeah, it really will.
That does mean Ataraxia can breathe a little bit easier here in the dual lane, though, without having to worry about the Sunbreaker being dropped. Emilzy can't find the taunt. Raffer is able to jump out of there, but the rotation's coming over from Captain Twig. They got to be careful. 9 turns. Blessing doesn't land the actual taunt. He will still get the heal, but there's no fight. Captain Twig can't find the punish.
Adapting, very happy to have used exactly 0 resources besides his 1 cooldown to get out of an ultimate from Captain Twig, who he's gone for the early stone-cutting sword. Kind of a different look, but I think it makes sense as Raffer in some danger, but Detonate not going to be enough damage to bring down Adapting. Twig wasn't there to help out, and neither was Ataraxia, as he was forced back very quickly by Emilzy in his own jungle.
I think Captain Twig was kind of spotting Emilito there, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Emilito drops the ultimate in good spirit, so does Captain Twig, right?
Very kind.
Yeah, I like it. I'm kind of just trading those back and forth, but you saw some of the damage that Prime has in that jungle corridor. Couldn't quite get the kill, but certainly sent them all running as they fall back here. But still, it's energy. It feels like, doesn't it? It feels like they're the ones that have the momentum yet again, even with this early focus from Obey Alliance. They clearly want to fight right now as Yemen finds the portal. Pretty Prime doesn't have much by way of health. It's all damage, and Yemen doesn't care how much damage you're doing. You're on your way back to base.
Man, Yemen's portal there was huge. Prime had already used his beads in response to Emilzy's taunt, so ended up not working out. Emilito going to dive underneath that tier 2, and even with the beads and the ultimate from Emilzy, it's not going to save him from Captain Twig, but Emilzy might be baiting Twig in here. There's help.
He lived just long enough to be able to get to actually show up. That's so important. That's what allows for Adapting in Yemen to make the rotation over and actually get the kill. That's 3 members of Obey who are down. They do have to give up Emilito, who dove very bravely into the tier 2 tower, but now they can get some damage in. They don't quite have many minions here, but if they can take this up, they can certainly take it. Yeah, I think this tier 2 tower is gone, and indeed it will be. That's brutal for Obey Alliance to lose a tier 2 tower this early on in the game. It's not so bad for, say, Pretty Prime, but it's awfully bad for Ataraxia, who's already been getting bullied in this lane. It does mean that he can hold this minion wave deeper towards his base, and that's why he's actually not clearing it right away. He's trying to get it as close to his minion, his own base as possible, and just make it so that Emilito, if he needs farm, will push even deeper onto his side of the map. But now NRG get an awesome opportunity to pull Gold Fury and make sure that Obey Alliance only has 1 route to go to, and you can cut off that route towards the mid towers very easily with Through Space and Time. Funnel Obey towards the dual lane. They've got no help there. But isn't it so? This is just like last game where Obey draft the global pressure and it's NRG who are out rotating, and this time Obey Alliance are building to fight now with the way that Prime is building, with the way that they've started this game off with Captain Twig's ability level up prioritization, and Energy are the ones gooning them in the jungle and forcing down the tier 2 tower early. It hasn't looked good for Obey Alliance in game 1 or game 2, where whatever the strategy has been, Energy has been in the right spot to counter it. Well, now Gold Fury is being looked at. It's been brought down to about 75%, but they got a leash. Raffer, Twig, and Ataraxia are all here. Everyone has ultimates. No beads for Prime right now. 30 seconds on that, so he could certainly be a target. Same for Emilito. Another 45 seconds or so before he'll have his beads available. And Energy have dropped the Gold Fury aggro for now. They're kind of looking for positioning more than really actually pulling the objective.
surprising that they aren't willing to full commit quite yet, but they likely want to chase out some relics from the enemy team. I mean, at this point, the turn and burn potential onto Emilzy is really, really high.
Yes.
And NRG's going to need to convert very quickly on his taunts, because otherwise he's just going to pop from the damage from Captain Twig and from PRETTYPRIME.
And we've seen the Cerberus picked in response to Athena a lot lately as a way to sort of punish when she dashes in, just drop the Stygian Torment and kind of just pick her up and pull her back. So if they pick this much burn damage like they have, then Emilzy certainly can be punished. Has to be careful with the way he chooses to initiate. Oftentimes he just walks up just like this, catches Rapper with the Unstable Vortex from Yam, and now comes in the Fear No Evil overhand smashes more than enough Twig. In a little bit of trouble as well. Has to retreat. Prime holding on to the ultimate, couldn't find an opportunity, and NRG are able to make it out.
That play from Adapting is just art, man. It's so nice. Just waits through the perfect moment, forces the jump away from Raffer off of the taunt of Emilzy, and then teleports and drops Fear No Evil before the Stygian Torment comes out from Raffer. And even if the ultimate was there, Adapting used beads preemptively, and that immuned the taunt from Captain Twig, where he was trying to save his support's life.
Dash in. Zalia's now in trouble. Maniac here on the zone duty because the rest of NRG have the Gold Fury very low. Twig throws in a pin. Obey Alliance have stolen the Gold Fury. PRETTYPRIME finds a kill in Emilito, but Maniac does fall as well. Ataraxia finds one. Prime with a double kill. 3 members of NRG go down. Obey Alliance still here to play.
Okay, Obey, I see you. Nice play from Zalia there. Just sneaks in time to stun someone who I don't know who it was, I can't remember now, who was on the Gold Fury itself. Stuns them, then secures it with the abilities right before he ends up falling. Prime in the right spot to drop the ultimate afterwards. And now Obey get the Gold Fury, and they're going to get Pyromancer off of this. Look at the gold from the team fight recap. That is a huge differential, and that's before this Pyromancer goes down. That's going to push Obey even closer to NRG. In fact, Obey's now in the league in both gold and experience.
What a swing around from Obey Alliance, and that was the kind of fight that Obey Alliance wanted, where they can get NRG to overcommit. Captain Twig in some trouble on the right-hand side. Defender of Olympus and Athena being here means they should have a good opportunity. Captain Twig does get the heal, but taunted back to the shield crash. Adapting doesn't quite have the damage. Emilzy dives in for it, and Raffer saw a Stygian Torment to pull in both. Emilzy now taking the tier 1 tower. Maniac has made the rotation over. They cannot find the kill. In fact, Emilzy now running for the hills.
Very low, but nice and safe at the same time. It's too tanky for that tower to bring down. Double auras already. Hit just 17 minutes in means that Emilzy's way too tanky for a tier 1 at that opportunity. Twig didn't have the beads, but didn't end up falling anyways, as he built into some extra HP with that winged blade. There are some significant slows on NRG side as well, so I think that makes a lot of sense. And his just ability, you're really relying on base damage. As we already saw earlier when we were mousing over Erlong Shen's abilities, his base damage is kind of nuts as is, so you can kind of rely on that and not worry about your overall power level if you're Captain Twig.
Obey Alliance, though, look like they've got some new wind beneath their sails after a rough Game 1. Even the start to Game 2 was not ideal for Obey Alliance. They got 3 kills in that last fight, and they have 4 kills now total. So it just goes to show how well NRG had been doing up until that moment. But Obey, on that Gold Fury defense, have evened this game back out and mitigated that entire great start from NRG.
Now PRETTYPRIME has some pen online as well. Went for the Spear of Desolation, so he's really just committing to expensive power items in any given opportunity. He's not going to do that much damage to Emilzy because that pen isn't quite enough to punch through that Heartward Amulet, but I mean, Yemen, Adapting, Emilito, they're all going to go real quick in response to the Zeus damage, and it should be a Shaman's Ring next, which I think is perfect on this character.
Obey are playing aggressively into the jungle. Prime is here with them, and he is packing heat. He's got tons of damage as the blink comes in from Captain Twig to force the beads from Yemen in response. On the backside, Prime looking for damage on the Maniac. Sunbreaker comes out from Emilito for the slow through space and time. Cuts through the fight, so Emilzy can find a 2-man taunt. No immediate follow-up, but there comes the Fear No Evil, and Prime drops down the Lightning Storm. Emilzy just cannot hang inside all that damage. They've got to retreat. Yemen in trouble. Raffer finds that hit. Now Emilito drops as well. Suddenly, Obey Alliance 3 for 0.
This is how Obey should be playing. This is how they used to play. Twig goes in first, gets out some relics, and forces everything onto himself, but he knows he's safe at the same time, and his baiting abilities from NRG. He absorbs so much and really committed very little. Then NRG feels like they've got a good fight, but Prime never took an ounce of damage in that team fight, and he just gets to free cast and look great in that fight. This is how Obey drew it up during Season 4, and we just haven't seen it so far in Season 5. It clearly still works, Fitch.
It looks like they flipped a switch almost. It's so different from just what we saw 10 minutes ago. Those same disjointed fights that looked like there wasn't quite communication there look entirely different right now. They look like they're fighting as a 5-man unit. And as you said, the leaving Prime on the backside where he can do damage from distance with this ridiculous build that he's gone so early on, it's worked out perfectly for them. NRG overcommit into the ultimate and they just don't have a way back out.
And it works out perfectly for Obey Alliance. Now they get 2 towers on that right-hand side, a bunch of gold. Prime's able to back and finish off a Shaman's Ring, start working towards what should be an Obsidian Shard. A lot of power spikes now across Obey Alliance. This next fight around Gold Fury is where I expect it to happen, with that spawning in less than a minute. Has still got to go Obey's way, though. If they get a little bit too arrogant now and start not worrying about what energy's going to bring to these team fights, Ataraxia has to be incredibly safe because he doesn't have any relics. Same can be said for Emilito on the other side, but you expect that Obey Alliance is going to be the aggressors now with the lead that they have.
And some of the follow-up, it felt like, from NRG in that last fight, wasn't quite used at the right time. Emilito used the Suns really early on in that engagement, the Sunbreaker ultimate, and Obey Alliance were able to disengage from it pretty cleanly and fall back, so they didn't get quite as much value from that. Wasn't able to get in position to get his autos off the way he wanted to either. That fight really just felt front to back way more in Obey Alliance's favor, and they were the ones that started. They were aggressing in NRG's jungle. They suddenly feel that confidence that we said was kind of missing in game 1.
I don't think that Emilito knew or remembered that Captain Twig had Winged Blade, because he dropped the ult and tried to get the slow off on him, but Twig just got faster because of that Sunbreaker ultimate. Yaman was expecting the slow as well. He fires off his through space and time, but that goes behind Captain Twig because, again, he got a speed boost from Sunbreaker instead of getting slowed down, and that's what started that whole fight off poorly for NRG.
Gold Fury.
They grab the tier 2 tower duo, going to get Gold Fury as well. Only 1 tier 2 tower and 3 Phoenixes standing for Obey Alliance as they've extended their gold lead now to about 8,000 gold, about 9,000 experience as well. Obey Alliance continuing to cause some trouble here for NRG this whole season. Does NRG look like they're on their way to a nice clean 2-0, but Obey Alliance bounce right back. So, still though, this game not over yet as Captain Twig looks for damage onto Yemen. NRG certainly have a chance to put up some strong defenses. We saw Obey do it in game 1. NRG now with the Fear No Evil, with the Athena taunts that they have to try and find their way into. The Sunbreaker from Emilito. Not too easy to siege in on this comp.
But they don't have to worry about sieging towers anymore. All the towers now down, and Obey's lead getting closer and closer to 10K. Twig's going to be able to solo down this Pyromancer very, very easily on the Erlong Shen. Now Obey's got a commanding lead. You're right, it won't be easy to siege into the Phoenixes, but with the elite sort of lead that Obey has, it's certainly possible.
I think we even saw Raffer going for this Gauntlet of Thebes. Yeah, 4th item. We don't always see this one coming out this late. As NRG looking for a fight in the jungle. That does force out the mounted archery there from Ataraxia. He's able to retreat through space and time, committed from Yemen. They can't quite find someone in the jungle isolated. I like the call from NRG, but Obey Alliance able to disengage.
Right idea, because as I mentioned before, Ataraxia's relics were on cooldown, both of them, and I believe they came back fairly recently, so NRG was trying to catch him out. Plus, we see this a lot from teams these days where they'll group as 5 and sit inside a buff camp or something like that and hope that only one straggling member comes through, and Ataraxia was that one lost boy in the jungle, but is not quite quick enough to catch him. You got a horse.
Horses are pretty fast.
They are. Not as fast as, like, time or space, but...
I mean, that's not fair, though.
I mean, that's what he has to worry about, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, you don't expect him to be that fast. He's just a horse.
If it was like a cosmic horse, I would expect it to be at least as fast as light.
That's fair, but I mean, aside from materializing out of nowhere, the horses seem rather normal.
Yeah.
Where are they coming from, Ryan?
I don't know. They seem like nice horses. Like, probably a little bit nicer than your average horse.
How are you determining that? Are you a horse whisperer?
I'm not really that into horses, but I don't know. You can just look into its eyes and tell it cares about you.
I don't know. It's usually barreling at me, carrying sometimes a wizard or a guy with a spear.
But it feels bad about it. Well, first of all, that's a unicorn that carries the wizard.
That's
that thing is
that's still
mean
a horse,
as hell.
by the way.
Mean as hell.
Are just horses.
Very mean. I do not like that unicorn. But the horse itself is nice.
Doesn't he say my horse is amazing?
He does.
Yeah.
Amazing at being a jerk.
Obey Alliance now, pushing. on the solo side. Actually, the blink comes out from Raffer. Emilzy has to dash towards the team to get away. Gets the taunt onto Raffer, who's soaking up tons of damage. Captain Twig finds a taunt of his own. Energy a little disjointed, but now comes and adapted with Fear No Evil to force everybody back. That creates room for Energy to regroup, but they have to give up through space and time and Fear No Evil to do it.
Now, both of those will be up sooner rather than later because of the CDR that each of those members has built, but still likely not as fast as they would have liked overall. Maniac also transformed in that spot, and I believe he used his ultimate as well. He did, so with Emilzy using Defender of Olympus to join the fray once more, that means NRG only has one ult available.
Right at about 9,000, though, this lead that Obey Alliance has. NRG, it's tough to fight into a lead this large, but they are certainly around the Fire Giant. I don't think they want to give this one up for free, at least not yet. Obey come out from the pit. They forced them back. Now they're going to come in one more time. Emilzy, Emilito, and Maniac all here. We see Yaman off to the side. Fire Giant being looked at one more time.
All the blinks are down for Obey, so they got to do the engagement the old-fashioned way. Someone's got to get nice and close to them before it'll work out.
This is so spread out from NRG, the way they're going about this defense. Now it's on Emilito, too far forward. Aegis comes out to keep him alive, has the dive bomb available, but detonate charge just too good. Emilito gets deleted. Ataraxia finds Maniac, and Pretty Prime very slowly is hunting down Emilzy on the right-hand side.
I don't know if he's going to be able to catch him, but it doesn't really matter. The damage has already been done to NRG. Yaman is going to split push down to tier 2 in the mid lane, but that damage from Pretty Prime, man, the evolved Shaman's Ring gets it done, detonating on Emilito for over 700 there.
14,000 player damage for him, 4,000 above the next closest person. And Captain Twig might have been able to track down Emilzy. Prime and Raffer and the rest of the squad are here. They don't need the help, though. Twig takes down Emilzy, 3 kills in total. NRG unable to defend. Now the Fire Giant on all 5 members of Obey Alliance, and they're not done pushing just yet. They've got Chong off for sustain. They got the Fire Giant for sustain. They're coming for this Phoenix.
Now Prime has had a great game on the Zeus, and I'm never gonna get I'm never gonna stop taking my opportunities to praise Zeus and how good of a god he is. But it feels like this Chang'e was the difference in this game. The sustain that Obey has been able to utilize with it, the way that Xaylia stole that Gold Fury with it, that seems to be the difference, and Obey is prioritizing this very heavily, a lot like NA is, and it's worked out for them thus far. I think that NRG need to focus on this pick in Game 3, even more than the Zeus.
Well, still, look where Yaman is positioned. He's behind the team fight once again. Maniac goes in, as does Captain Twig, through space and time. Comes through the back end, does hit Ataraxia. Fear No Evil forces out the beat, and Pretty Prime does not find the lightning storm he's looking for, but it's still too much. Adapting cannot find him. Pretty Prime blows up the monkey. Now Yaman finds a kill, but not until Raffer can come in and return the favor. Twig takes down Emilito, 1 for 3, and Obey still standing strong.
Now right side Phoenix is in danger, but Ataraxia is the one lone member of Obey that fell, and that's the best one for NRG to have killed in this spot, except for maybe Xaylia. Right side Phoenix will fall, but it'll take Obey a lot longer if they want to go for other Phoenixes. The Titan, however, is much more susceptible to magical damage.
That's exactly right. They can come in and drop these abilities down. Only Emilzy and Maniac to defend. 23 seconds before adapting will be a part of this fight. Again, Titan now down to about half HP, and they're not doing enough damage. Pretty Prime is forced out for the moment, but Twig and Raffer can continue to take it up. Obey Alliance have done it. They've taken Game 2. They've evened up the set, and we're going to Game 3.
What an impressive bounce back from Obey.